SMK Gaming here. The VHX has had some nerfs handed down to it over the last few weeks. The community felt that it was simply too good up close and at range. The first supposed nerf to increase horizontal recoil and dispersion wasn't enough for many, as rapid tap firing negated a lot of those changes. The developers revisited it, and now there is less damage across the board and further dispersion, with the horizontal recoil previously introduced rolled back. Players have been giving their opinions on how it now feels, but today I'm going to show you how those changes have really affected it by highlighting the changes in recoil and spread patterns. I will also compare it to the M5A3, the weapon many are now saying it feels very similar to. So let's get into it, shall we? First up are the recoil patterns. On the left is the VHX before any changes were made to it, and on the right the balance changes introduced on the 13th of February. I have the same attachments on both tests, the factory barrel, the standard issue extended magazine and the light grip. We are at a distance of 8 meters here. At this distance, the increase in dispersion with sustained fire can be pretty difficult to see. Look at the first panel on both sets of patterns. Both are pretty straight with no difference in dispersion noticeable. It's later in the patterns this becomes a little more apparent. Take a look at the second panel on the right. It is at this point where you can see that those patterns start to become thicker compared to the pre-patched VHX patterns. The dispersion has increased. It's not super noticeable and it shouldn't be. The aim of the developers wasn't to affect its accuracy too much in close quarters, but at a distance, and this is further reflected in the spread patterns. Once again, the same testing conditions applied, and I produced 4 spread patterns where I attempt to control the recoil. There really isn't any difference here. Some are better with the VHX pre-update, but some are also worse than the post-update VHX. As a whole, all spread patterns are pretty much the same. We need to go to a greater distance to show how this additional spread really affects the weapon's capabilities. Now unfortunately, my pre-update clips of VHX at this increased distance somehow got corrupted. I can tell you that this is where that increased spread became more apparent in both the recoil and spread patterns. But don't fret, I've got something else here for you that still highlights how big this change to the VHX really is. The comparison will be between the current VHX and the M5A3 at a distance of 17 meters. Before showing you this, keep in mind that the M5A3 is viewed as a hybrid between an SMG and an assault rifle in this game. So its spread and recoil would be expected to be higher compared to other assault rifles. Looking at the patterns, the VHX still has a pretty linear recoil pattern, but overall max recoil is greater. Additionally, you can see that following those initial 10 bullets, the spread really increased with sustained fire, more so than the M5A3. This surprised me. The M5 pulled a bit to the right, but even into the second pattern, I think sustained fire is still viable at this distance for this weapon, not as much with the VHX. You can see going into the third and fourth panels, the first two and the last two patterns merge into one another with the VHX due to that increased spread that they've added. You can't really tell which pattern is which at this point. You aren't hitting anything at this distance with that spread. But that's what the developers wanted to fix, its ability to outclass other assault rifles that are actually supposed to be good at a greater distance. Now let's take a look at the spread patterns. Again, I want to remind you that the M5A3 is viewed as a hybrid, supposed to act more like an SMG in close quarters, with its increased spread then limiting its performance at a distance. The M5 spread patterns are tighter than that of the VHX at this distance. The M5 outperforms it, and this is only 17 meters. You might be thinking, well, surely that then is negated by the fact that the VHX does greater damage then. And you could be right. In the chart shown here, you can see that the M5 is a 5 bullet kill up until 29 meters, whereas the VHX is a 5 bullet kill up to 39 meters, 10 meters greater than that of the M5A3. Additionally, assuming all bullets land with the VHX, it has a faster time to kill of 282 milliseconds compared to the M5's 320 milliseconds. Up until 74 meters, both are a 6 bullet kill, and then a 7 bullet kill in distances greater than 75 meters. The VHX achieves a slightly faster time to kill in all ranges due to its faster rate of fire. So, one weapon has a better spread and recoil profile, while the other has a better damage profile. So which is better? Does the greater damage profile of the VHX offset its greater spread compared to the M5? In my opinion, yes, but only in close quarters. At range, you will be tap firing with the VHX earlier compared to the M5 due to its increased spread. This was evident even at 17 meters. This tap firing will diminish any rate of fire advantage the VHX had over the M5. In reality, the M5A3 is likely to be the better weapon in mid-range engagements despite the VHX's apparent time to kill advantage on paper. At greater distances, the increased spread becomes more of a factor in what weapon is better, not how much damage each bullet does, unless the bullet damage in one is far greater than the other, which isn't the case here. However, when you then get to the distances where you're also tap firing with the M5, the VHX becomes a slightly better weapon again. But at these distances, you really shouldn't be using either. There are much better alternatives. If there's a chart to show which weapon was better at which distance, it would look a little bit like this. So 0 to 15 meters would be the VHX, from 16 up to about 40 meters it would be the M5, then past 40 meters it would be the VHX once again because you'll be tap firing with both weapons at this point. But there really isn't much in it, folks. One thing is obvious, both weapons are now very close in performance. In its current state, the VHX now goes into that bracket of a hybrid weapon, something between an SMG and an assault rifle like the M5A3. If you liked how the VHX previously performed, you aren't getting that back. But if you're finding you're struggling with it more now, particularly past 30 meters, give the M5A3 a go again. Which works better for you will most likely come down to your style of play. I feel the M5A3 is now a better all-rounder compared to the VHX, but the VHX is still the best up-close assault rifle. Well, if you made it this far, folks, thanks for watching. If you want any further comparisons like this, mention them in the comment section below. Please also like up the video and hit that subscribe button to help me at 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Take care all, and I'll see you again in the next one.